Hi, I'm here with Gina, and we are discussing an excerpt from a source writing, um, a longer writing, and we just pulled out part of a message. And as we've noticed repeatedly, that even though this was written for a particular person, probably, or maybe it was written in a live writing, I don't know. But that we're all human beings and we all deal with the same stuff. So here we go. I'm going to bring that up on the screen for us and I'll take a read and then Gina and I'll just dive in and start discussing it. So this one is, I'll just read it and then we'll just see what it is. So, enchantment is always inside the self. The power, the fuel, the voice, the flute, the band to not always know the music before the play begins. The creative vine must be allowed. With it comes a renewal of light, of energy and light. It is all the things you whisper to yourself, but do not have life. The creative vine is just that. Its fruits are up to you to describe.
Mm.
Wow.
Yes. That's intense.
Yeah, it's a couple sentences, but it packs a punch,
It
doesn't it?
does. It does.
So what
Uh,
resonates with you, Gina, here? Or
well, I think about this book I read. It was called A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and it's set in the kind of the tenements in New York, and even though they had a lot of asphalt, there was always something that was poking out of the asphalt. It would find a way to get out and up.
Mm,
And so that's what I think about creativity. I've heard a lot of artists say, I had to do it. It's like, it's almost, oh, you have this energy bottled up and you have to create.
wow.
That's how I think of a vine poking out of the
Right.
oil.
Yeah, beautiful. And
Mm.
I like this idea that the flute and the band and the voice and all of it, it doesn't really know what it's going to be saying until or playing until the music starts. Like
Mm-hmm.
I remembered I took jazz appreciation in college, and that was what musicians often did is they just started
Yeah.
playing and scatting and doing all the different things they did and they were in that active creativity, right? And that's what it makes me think personally, or where it kind of hits me is that um that part, like when I'm creating something in my art journaling class or whatever, it's like I don't really know what it's going to be, and I'm like, oh, I'm not, oh, look at that person, such a great artist or whatever. And then it's that willingness to get started, that willingness to put the first parts down or whatever it might be. And that does sort of invigorate the whole creativity process, right?
Mm.
Um, and what do you make of this? It is all the things you whisper to yourself, but do not have life.
Uh, well, I think it's that all of us are unique, and whatever we create, we are birthing into the universe, and
Mm,
it really has life. I think of that when I, write short stories, fictions in my characters. The more you add your own flavor to them, they take on life, they
mm,
become real, and you could swear that they're real.
right.
That's what I think about.
And that's why when I heard this sentence, it is all the things you whisper to yourself, but do not have life. But it could be do not have life yet because it's talking about the creative process or but do not give life or
Mm,
haven't given life yet. As we know, we're not going to edit source, but I
yeah,
think you and I were going the same place on this
yeah,
one.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
And
also, the fruits are up to you to describe. I mean, that is what how can that be? How can it be my choice? I don't understand that.
Mhm.
You know, uh that I have that kind of power over my creativity.
Wow.
That's how I think of it.
And yet so many of us stifle our creativity.
Yeah.
Um we don't, and maybe that's a sideways kind of like zinger from source. It's all the things you whisper to yourself but do not have life,
Mm-hmm.
like whatever that might be, whatever the obstacles or the things that the barriers we put or tell ourselves are there to our creativity.
Yeah, that's true.
And that enchantment is always inside the self.
Yeah, that's such a that's such a lovely introduction to this idea,
Mhm.
this block of message. Um, and the way it lays it out, power, fuel, voice, flute, band, that is unbelievable that they're all the elements are right there laid out.
And maybe we're a compilation of all those various
Yeah.
instruments that are the band that plays the music, but
Mm,
doesn't, and before the play begins, it doesn't say before the playing the music begins, it says the play begins.
yes.
So it's sort of like, and creativity, if we are really in that flow, we're kind of in play. We've moved out of strategy and the
Mm-hmm.
linear. First, I mean, depends on what kind of creativity we're doing, but what mediums we're working in.
Mm-hmm.
But people can be creative in the kitchen. Cooking a
Yeah,
meal is
that's
creativity.
true.
I mean, even I evoke that art concept, but we're creative in a lot of ways. I met a woman and she said that she feels, I'm going to misquote her but anyway, that it had to do with the idea that she thought that how she dressed was her creativity and her art, and she had a responsibility um, to enter wherever she went with that invitation to
Mhm.
be sort of walking art, not like she was in her ego and saying, I'm so beautiful, but that she really put in this conscious thought and creativity into what she wore,
Mhm.
and how it was just an interesting thought because I was like, oh, I mean,
Yeah.
so, and the fruits are all up to you to describe. And maybe the fruits of our creativity is what we describe this is to ourselves,
Mhm.
right? We create something, it's seemingly outside of us,
Mhm.
and yet, and we tell ourselves some description of it or attach meaning to it, which is what that enchantment is always inside the self too, I think.
And fruit feeds others, obviously.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and you never know what I think of it as, people that I've talked to who say, "I'm not gonna publish this book, it's just for me." And I say, "You don't know who in the universe may be." I know it's crazy, but somebody in the universe or some being is enjoying what you're doing, whether you publish it or not.
Hmm.
Let's think, you know,
Right.
about the whole cosmos.
The energy of creation, the energy
Yes.
of intention, the energy of thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do, 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 do.
Yeah. I better
Yeah.
take note of this. I want to, make a couple of cards for myself that just say, go for it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be willing to enchant yourself with
Mm,
yourself
mm-hmm. Definitely.
and play and
Mhm.
not have it be a product or perfection.
Yeah.
Like we're just here talking about this. We're being creative. We're playing. We didn't have a plan. We don't know what we're going to say. We don't, you know, and yet it's emerging
Mm-hmm.
and we can tell ourselves what it is or what it means, but
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Or-
thank you, Gina.
Yeah.
Thank you for
It's fun.
yeah, it was fun. It was fun. The band got together. The band of two got together and we didn't really know what it was going to be until the play began. So I so thank you for being here today and sharing your wisdom and your authenticity and saying how it touches you. And we invite anybody who's watching this video, you can stop the play button and you can just read this and see what it speaks to you and what wisdom this source message delivers to you. Because as you see, Gina and we just came up with different things. And if I looked at it later tonight, I would probably walk away thinking other things. So
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
is energy. It gets in us. It's sort of an unlocker. It's
Mm,
kind of a decoder, an opener, and a expander. So
yeah.
um, you don't have to talk about it with people. You can just let it have its magic and
Mm,
play within you and open yourself to the potential to connect with that enchantment that is always inside the cell. Thanks for listening.